Making a video on a pair of studio monitors isn't exactly easy. You can shoot nice B-roll and you can talk about specs, but how do I convey if they're any good or not? Let me be honest here, I'm not a professional mix engineer, I'm just a slightly better than average bedroom producer, and maybe that's a stretch too. So keep that in mind and you won't be disappointed that all you'll get in this video is some nice B-roll, some specs, and my honest opinion on how these monitors sound. Okay? The iLOUD MTM speakers are the second generation iLOUD speakers. With the first generation iLOUD, the unique selling point seemed to be the small form factor. And with the second iteration, IK focused pretty heavily on the speakers and how they could reproduce sound accurately, as well as room calibration and making them suitable for pretty much any situation, which is nice because I'm in a very untreated room. So in short, the new generation of iLOUD monitors have grown in size quite a bit and added the option to calibrate the sound using a provided microphone, as well as having plenty of onboard control over the sound. The calibration features alone is quite a unique selling point actually, because you rarely find this many options on similarly priced studio monitors. So what about the sound? I mean, it's all about the sound in the end. Well, firstly, they sounded a lot better than you might think from just the size of them, and they can reproduce bass pretty decently. I don't dare say down to what frequencies, maybe 40-50 Hz, but they did impress me quite a lot. And I even had to lower the bass manually, which is like something I never had to do on a small pair of studio monitors. So that was really impressive. They're kind of full sounding, even though they're really small. So honestly, the sound did impress me quite a lot, considering the small form factor and the slim size of them. So I did a lot of testing with them, and the first test I did was actually to mix an entire track on them. I just happened to be working on my new song Backlash. It may or may not be out when you are watching this. It's a kind of heavy electronic track with a lot of bass, very pumping, and I thought it was suitable to test it this way because smaller monitors often struggle when it comes to mixing bass and handling lower frequencies. The results were quite surprising to me because I did actually do 90% of the mix on the iLOUDs, and then I moved it over to my other setup where I have the A5Xs from Adam with the matched sub, and I was quite surprised at how little I had to change with the mix at that point. I kind of assumed that it wouldn't sound that great on the Adams because I sort of thought that these small monitors wouldn't really hold up, but yeah, they did. And if you want to check the mix that I did, I'll drop a link to a snippet from the song just to give you an idea of what I kind of accomplished on the iLOUDs. Note that all of this was done in a home studio environment with less than ideal acoustic treatment. My room sounds okay, but it's not perfect. It's not a professional studio. Calibrating the speakers was super simple. Just set up the microphone between the speakers in your listening position, connect the mic cable to the speaker, hold down the calibration buttons for a little while, and after a few seconds it will send a test signal. And then you just repeat the process with the second monitor. The result of the calibration was actually quite surprising to me. It actually made a big difference, especially when I compared it to the two other settings, flat and desk. The sound became more balanced and airy, and the bass, the probably most important aspect of a small pair of monitors, became more distinct and was easier to pick out in the mix. If I compare the iLOUDs to my A5X, and this is not really a apples to apples comparison, the A5X are my only other pair of small monitors and the price is similar. A pair of iLOUDs will set you back about 800 euros and a pair of Adam A5X are, slightly less. But in terms of clarity, I felt that the Adams reproduced sound with better clarity. It was easier to notice small things, and there's just more air to the sound, which I suspect Could be because of the larger woofer, or maybe because of the Adams tweeter design, or a combination of both. Somebody who's way more technically knowledgeable than I am can probably comment down below with a possible theory why the Adams feel more airy. However, when I compare the iCase to the Adams without the Adams matched sub, I felt that the iLOUD MTM speakers had an easier time reproducing low bass frequencies. The sound just seemed fuller on the iLOUDs than on the Adams, but with less detail. With a sub, I still feel that the Adams are in a totally different tier in terms of audio reproduction. But then we're also talking quite a lot more money, because the sub 8 is about 600 euros extra. And of course, totally different size for your table, so depends on you want, I guess. The iLOUD MTM monitors are brand new, so there's not that many reviews out there for them. However, I found this really cool review by Warren Hewart, who is a real professional who's reviewing the old iLOUD micro monitors. They are less expensive and they won't be able to reproduce sound as well as the new MTMs. However, Warren does seem to be quite happy with them, so I think that speaks to the general quality of this line of products. So in conclusion, if small size and big sound is what you're after, I think that the iLOUD MTMs, or even the original iLOUDs, can be something to check out. I did find them quite easy to mix on, and they reproduce sound accurately. The mixes also translated well to my other studio monitors, the Adams, but also the Rokits. And yeah, as always, I recommend you to try them in a store before you purchase, because I know that taste plays a huge role in this, especially when it comes to using them in a small home studio environment, for example. So test them out before you buy. Personally, I'm happy with them for two main reasons. They're very small and they can still reproduce bass well enough for me to mix on them without a sub, and this means that I save a ton of space on my desk, and I can actually bring them with me for holidays and use as studio monitors for my little cabin setup, so that's why I dig them. So thank you so much for watching this little review here of the iLOUD MTM studio monitors. If you want to see more videos where I share my passion for synthesizers and music production, you should subscribe, because that's what you do. And then you enable the notifications, that's the bell icon, so you don't miss an upload. So if you want to do that, that'd be great. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.